What if the most advanced city in history simply disappeared forever? Imagine a civilization so powerful, so rich and technologically advanced that to this day no one has found any trace of it. A city with golden palaces, enormous temples, and concentric rings surrounding a temple dedicated to the god of the seas. And one day, in just hours, it was swallowed by the ocean. We're talking about Atlantis. But did this city really exist? Or is it all just a myth invented more than 2,000 years ago? Get ready for a journey through history, science, underwater archaeology, and conspiracies. Because today, we're going to find out if Atlantis was real, or just a legend too powerful to be forgotten. It all starts in the 4th century BC. The Greek philosopher Plato was the first, and curiously the only ancient author, to mention Atlantis in such detail. He mentions the city in 2 dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. According to Plato, Atlantis was a maritime power located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar. The city was organized in concentric circular rings, with canals connecting the areas and a monumental temple dedicated to Poseidon in the center. It was rich, powerful, and had a feared army, a grand civilization that reached parts of Europe and Africa. But the story doesn't end well. Plato says that after a period of arrogance and moral corruption, the Atlanteans lost the favor of the gods. As punishment, they were destroyed by a devastating natural disaster, an earthquake followed by a tsunami, which made the city vanish in a single day and night. Since then, for over 2,000 years, this narrative has fascinated emperors, explorers, scientists, and now, the internet. But why has this story survived so long? Simple, because it carries a perfect mix of mystery, morality, and possibility. And of course, because there is always that doubt. What if it's true? In recent decades, the search for Atlantis left philosophy behind and entered the real world. Researchers began investigating locations worldwide, trying to find concrete evidence of the lost city. One of the first respected theories connected Atlantis with the island of Santorini in Greece, formerly called Thera. This island was the birthplace of the Minoan civilization, which dominated the Aegean Sea and had impressive cultural and technological advances for its time. Interestingly, Thera was destroyed by one of the largest volcanic eruptions ever recorded, around 1600 BC, generating massive tsunamis and impacting many civilizations in the region. Many believe this tragedy could have inspired the myth of Atlantis, since it mixes wealth, the sea, and sudden destruction by natural catastrophe. But the search didn't stop there. In the 1930s, explorers and occultists investigated the Atlantic Ocean floor near the Azores, where they believed they found a possible submerged Atlantean plateau. Some claim to have identified rectangular structures, pyramids, and even symbols carved into the stones. Decades later, in 2009, Google Earth revealed something intriguing: a series of straight, symmetrical lines on the Atlantic Ocean floor near the Canary Islands. They looked like streets, avenues, even the layout of a city. Internet users went wild. Could this be the definitive proof? Unfortunately, experts explained these patterns were errors in sonar readings from mapping ships. But the flame of the theory was already lit. And this is where things get even more curious. Some researchers suggested that the Atlantis myth is linked to the Peary Race map, drawn in 1513. This map shows parts of the South American coastline with incredible accuracy, and it depicts a submerged island between Africa and the Americas. A cartographic Atlantis? Other explorers suggested the city might be in Antarctica. That's right. Based on the theory of crustal displacement, they believe a cataclysm shifted tectonic plates, burying Atlantis under the polar ice cap. And of course, we can't forget the classic Bermuda Triangle, where ships and planes supposedly disappear without explanation. Some believe the ruins of Atlantis lie there, emitting electromagnetic fields that cause these vanishings. More recently, expeditions near the Bahamas found rock formations resembling blocks of stone arranged in lines and right angles. Some see signs of underwater architecture there. But is any of this real? This is where we need to pause, because between wild theories and intriguing clues, we need to listen to what science has to say. More than 80% of the planet's oceans have yet to be fully mapped. That means there is literally an entire world underwater that we barely know. In recent years, with the use of advanced sonar, underwater drones, and 3D scanning technology, we have explored regions previously inaccessible. And yes, some geometric structures have been found, but nothing confirmed as a lost city so far. However, the Atlantis myth might not be 100% fictional. During the last ice age, vast stretches of land now submerged were inhabited by humans. One of them was Doggerland, which connected Great Britain to mainland Europe. With the end of the Ice Age, these lands were swallowed by the sea. Another example is Beringia, the land bridge between Asia and North America. It too disappeared as sea levels rose. These events show that entire lands have vanished underwater, and perhaps stories of these losses were passed down orally for generations until immortalized as the myth of Atlantis. Moreover, real submerged ruins have been found. Sunken ports in Greece, cities in India, mysterious structures in Japan. In other words, cities swallowed by the sea are real, just not the way Plato described. But what if Atlantis really existed? Let's imagine. A brilliant civilization with advanced science, art, and philosophy that fell because of its own arrogance. This story repeats itself, doesn't it? Rome fell, Babylon crumbled, the Mayans disappeared. And in many cases, collapse wasn't caused by external enemies, but by overconfidence, internal decay, greed. Atlantis, then, may be a mirror of humanity. It represents a warning that no civilization is eternal, especially when it loses balance and respect for its own limits. Today, we live in an era of amazing technology, but we also face climate change, economic crises, and ethical dilemmas. Are we repeating the mistakes of Atlantis? Perhaps the true value of this legend is that it reminds us no human achievement is safe from nature and from ourselves. Throughout this video, we've sailed through history, mythology, science, and conspiracy. We discovered that although there is no concrete proof Atlantis existed, there is plenty of evidence of lost lands, destroyed civilizations, and stories that survive for centuries. Because in the end, Atlantis may be less at the bottom of the ocean and more within us. Now it's your turn. Do you believe Atlantis really existed? Or is it just a warning disguised as a legend? Leave your opinion in the comments and tell us. What other great mystery would you like to see in the next video? If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. It really helps us keep producing quality content and exploring humanity's greatest enigmas. See you next time.